I tend to question all I know, but then it's on with the show. I hope you like it, but how are you today? What's heavy on your mind? And how do you suppose we'll find the answer of what you're looking for? Answer to your question. Who knows the way? Who knows the answer to your question? Who knows the way? So now questions are the place to start. Relax, I think you know your way, and the question simply opens up your mind. In the answers your eyes can see where once was blind. All of life is filled with looking for the right answers and questions. Who knows the answer to your question? Who knows the way? Who knows the answer to your question? Who knows the way? So challenge your life and keep the edge upon the knife. Remember what this life is for. Nothing stays the same, and you and I will play the game. Relax, I think you're on your way, and the question simply opens up your mind, and the answers your eyes can see where once was blind. All of life is filled with looking for the right answers and questions. You know the answer to your question. You know the way. You the answer to your question. You know the way. You know the answer to your question. You know the way. Now you know the way.
Thank you, Jerome. Thank you, Robert. You'll know the answer to your question. You know, most of us come to church because we have questions, right? What's life about? What am I supposed to be doing? What's my purpose? What do I do about things that are going on in life? Last Sunday was the White Stone ceremony, and you had an opportunity to answer that question. I think that's an appropriate song for this Sunday. You'll know the answer to the question, who am I here to be in this new year, in this new day? The Sunday before that was the Burning Bowl service. You could let go of whatever you no longer need to be or to show up as or to show up in your life. So I like that. You'll know the answer to the question. And Jim, I don't know the name of that tune that you played at the beginning, but I really love that. Thank you. That was beautiful. I stand all amazed. Wow. Both of those songs tell a story. I stand all amazed. Thank you. So I'm not here to amaze you this morning, but I am here to welcome all of you to Unity Temple on the Plaza, where diversity is praised and peace and harmony are the rewards. So we have a few announcements. Some were on the bulletin board or on the slides if you saw them earlier, but one I want to bring to your attention is that on February 19th, that's a Saturday, there's going to be a women's retreat. And you can go to unitytemple.com to find out all of the details or call the office, and Cassie or Jen will be able to tell you all about it, but it promises to be a wonderful experience. So if you or a woman you know would be interested, and maybe you'd like to give her a day off to do something just for herself, there'll be some pampering going on, there'll be some shopping going on, and some inspirational music and messages. So don't miss the women's retreat on Saturday, February 19th. We'll now begin our service with the temple chimes, the peace prayer, and the call to inspiration with our very own Geneva Price. Oh, sorry about that. The peace prayer. Please join me in reciting this together. On this day, we dedicate ourselves to peace on earth. We accept ourselves without harsh judgment and express appreciation for our individuality. We live without fear to meet the events of this day with confidence. We accept others without prejudice to experience a sense of unity with all people. We honor our earthly environment and recognize a oneness with all creation. In harmony with ourselves, our lives, other people, and all of nature, we live this day with a peaceful mind, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful spirit. Thank you, God. Amen.
Spirit of life, Spirit of peace, bind our hearts together in your love. You are the tar that binds our hearts. Bind our hearts together in your love. You are the source of all our joy. Bind our hearts together in your love.
Take all of your wasted honest, every little past frustration. Take all of your so-called problems, better put them in quotations. Say what you need to say, say what you need to say. Say what you need to say, 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 say what you need to say. Walking like a one-man army, followed by the shadows in your head, living out the same old moments. Better that you're better off instead. If you can only say what you need to say, say what you need to say, say what you need to say, say what you need to say. Say what you need to say, say what you need to say, say what you need to say, say what you need to say. Have no fear for giving in, have no fear for giving over. You better know that in the end it's better to say too much than never to say what you need to say, yeah. Even if your hands are shaking and your faith is broken, even as your eyes are closing, leave your heart wide open, a wide heart. Say what you need to say, Say what you need to say. 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 Say what you need to. Say what you need to. Say what you need to say. 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 Say what you need to say.
Thank you, Jerome, Jim, Robert, and thank you, Geneva, for that wonderful opening. Well, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? A little cold, a little snowy. Today is my second-born's 46th birthday. I know you're looking at me like he's older than me. And he called me just as I was getting out of my car from Atlanta to tell me that it's snowing big time in his community. And our only grandson, his youngest, loves snow. He was born in Atlanta, and the few times that he's come here during the winter time, he's just excited. He likes to get out there and just bask in the snow. And I'm like, it's too cold. Come on, Nana, get out here with me and play in the snow. I remember those days. Before beginning the Sunday service, a pastor read aloud a note that a staff member had handed him right before the service. And he opened the note, and it read, and it's an announcement, and she said, it needs to be announced right away. There will be no BS this afternoon. The pastor looked again at the note after he read out loud, tucked it back in his pocket, and said, I hope she meant Bible study. So today, I wasn't so sure about the weather, so I canceled the Bible study. We have the metaphysical Bible class every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And when I'm speaking, I'm here in the manse. And when not, we're on Zoom. And a lot of our members, our attendees, are also on Zoom, and they're all over the country. So this morning, there was no BS. Okay? And there won't be any for the rest of the day. So I love this cartoon by A.A. Milne, and you know A.A. Milne, famous for Winnie the Pooh. What day is it? Asked Pooh. Well, it's today. It's today, squeaked Piglet. My favorite day, said Pooh. My favorite day. If today is not your favorite day, then you need to go back to bed and wake up again, because this is the only opportunity you're going to have to enjoy today. Now, Phil and I are both retired from our full-time government careers. He from a full-time career with the part Marine Corps and part Army. So he's got two heads. And me, and also from Homeland Security. And I'm retired from the Federal Aviation Administration. Both of us had a total of probably about 80 years of working and rearing our families. So because every day now is almost the same, often we find ourselves asking each other, what day is today? How many of you have that experience? You wake up and you go, is this Sunday or Saturday? I have actually put on my clothes to come to church because I thought it was Sunday when it was Friday. But for retirees, every day is the best day. And for all of us, if you're not retired, every day should be the best day. Now there's another slide I want to show you about this particular day, January 16th. And if you Google the national day, what day is the national day today? There are about 6 or 7 of them, national holidays that we don't celebrate a day off. But today is National Religious Freedom Day. And it's no wonder you're here at Unity, because we totally support religious freedom. You'll hear us talk about some of the other world's wisdom traditions in this church. Because this church, this unity, this idea was founded on the concept that we're all one family of God. So it doesn't matter who you worship, how you worship, or whether you worship. We all belong to the family of God. One of the first pamphlets that I received about unity back in 1972 was "Unity leaves no one out." Unity leaves no one out. So since 1993, this day, January 16th, has been proclaimed by the United States President as National Religious Freedom Day. The First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees our fundamental freedom to openly practice our faith without fear of harassment, arrest, or death. And we take that for granted. This is a good day to be an American citizen. This is a good day to be here in the United States because not everyone around the world has religious freedom. Many are persecuted every day just because of what they believe or what they choose to believe. And yet we have the freedom of choice without fear of retribution. Today's daily word is rise, but I don't want to start with today's daily word, Cassie. I want to start with yesterday's daily word because yesterday was the anniversary of the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And tomorrow is the day off for a day on of service. So yesterday's daily word is serve. Serve. So I want to read that to you and then I'll get into today's lesson. I find joy in service. When I give my time and energy to a cause or a person, I feel a special kind of fulfillment. It's great to know I am making a positive difference. Serving brings greater meaning to my life. It is an affirmation of spiritual affluence that extends beyond myself. My talents are put to even greater use when I share them. I serve with no expectation of recognition or reward, just knowing that my efforts and energies are helping those who receive them fills me with peace, contentment, and a fuller experience of God. The more I share the work of my hands and the love in my heart, the more my joy grows, sending ripples of blessings into the world. The scripture is from 1 Peter, the 4th chapter, the 10th verse. Like good stewards of the manifold grace of God, serve one another with whatever gifts each of you has received. Now, I wanted to read that first because I want to give a shout out to Reverend Randy Fickey and a shout out to Mark Gossman. And you were probably in there too, weren't you, Cynthia? Well, you're the wind beneath Mark's wings. So Randy Fickey is the senior minister at Unity Southeast in Kansas City. And Randy Fickey has been having a warming center for those who are houseless or homeless. Unhoused, I think is the proper term today in our community. From 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day, when the temperatures fall to a certain level, that church empties out their sanctuary and puts beds up, cots up. They provide food, a meal, and they've had no problems. Many of us are hesitant to do things because we're afraid of maybe if I open my heart or my door, something could happen, and you do have to be careful. He has lots of volunteers, and yesterday, he, in cooperation with the city of Kansas City, Missouri, opened a larger facility at 5th and Troost. I think it's called the Garrison Center. And Mark was one of many volunteers who helped. Well, you were behind the scenes, I know, somewhere. But there were others who helped build these beds in time for those who were unhoused to have a place to lay their heads in a warm building with food. I asked Randy, I texted him this morning, I said, how did it go? Because he sent me a text and said, can you help get some volunteers? He said he had plenty of volunteers, and we had some Unity Temple people who said yes, they would go. We had plenty of volunteers. He said 10 stay the night and 5 will stay in the morning. You see, that's what Dr. King was about, service. When you see something, do something. Now, we can't all do the same things. We don't all have the same resources. But Unity Temple on the Plaza sees something and does something every day without it ever being announced. Last week, Duke decided that we should do a second Sunday of giving out the bags. So I invite you to take a bag at the front lobby, and you see somebody who looks like they need help. They may be holding a sign, they may be standing on the street corner. Give them a bag. It has has bottled water and hand sanitizers and hand warmers and all kinds of snacks and things, socks, hats, gloves, things they need right now. When you see something, do something. Tagore said, I slept and I dreamt that life was service. I awoke and I saw that life was joy. I acted and behold, service is joy. Service is joy. So think about it. What is it that's yours to do? When you write on that white stone, if you haven't done it already, that is yours to do for this year. When you see something, do something. In the words of an African proverb, when you pray, move your feet. This is also National Fig Newton Day, not my favorite cookie, but it's certainly my daughter's, so I want to give a shout out to Tammy because she couldn't get enough Fig Newtons when she was growing up. But it started, and she spent 20 years in Boston, and her husband is a native of Boston, and he speaks Boston. If you ever talk to him, you'll have to ask him a couple times, what did he say? But National Fig Newton Day actually came from Newton, Massachusetts. And it was named for the town of Newton, Massachusetts, and because doctors back in the old days believed that digestive problems could be treated with fruit and biscuits. Now, you know, that doesn't help us today, but that's how the idea of Fig Newtons came to be. You can look that up. I Googled it. So whatever I don't find in Scripture, I Google. So the daily word for today is rise. 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 I rise in consciousness to help create a world that works for all. That's why I wanted to say yesterday's daily word first is serve, because in order to serve, I've got to rise in consciousness to help create this world, this beloved community that was in Dr. King's dream, that he saw us having a community where all of us and every living being is treated with love and kindness. And the daily word goes on to say, throughout time, there have been people who led lives that changed the world forever. Their words and deeds provided hope and inspiration for those who would carry forth their legacies of love, growth, and evolution long after they left this life. Their most powerful contribution, however, was their ability to inspire others to express their own divine purpose. As more and more people reach their highest potential, the whole of humanity ascends. Today, I honor those who have led lives of service, striving for love, truth, and justice. I take steps not just to commemorate their journeys and contributions, but to embark upon my own. I rise, grateful to contribute all I can to the growth and evolution of humankind. And the scripture is from the book of Ezra, the 10th chapter, the 4th verse. Take action, for it is your duty, and we are with you. Be strong and do it. I failed to mention that before Randy and the church at Unity Southeast, his congregation and his board, started the warming center, they actually have been giving out coats and blankets. And they've partnered with a radio station. I've heard it on the radio, announcing that Unity Southeast has coats and blankets. They also have a food drive periodically where people can drive up and they have volunteers. So when you see something, do something. There's a lot of need in our community. So I want to talk to you about the 5 Unity principles just briefly so that those of you who are new, visiting Unity Temple for the first time or even new to Unity, understand that Unity has no dogma, no creed, nothing that you have to do or recite, no 20 questions, nothing that you have to be. We don't question your background, your history, and we simply look at you as part of the human family, our family, just as we say in that opening peace prayer. So today I want to talk to you about those principles. The first principle is that God is. That's all you need to know. God is. You don't need to remember, you don't need to memorize any of this. It's all simple, it's all basic. God is. The second principle is I am. Because God is, I am. We are inherently good because God's essence is in each of us. And even people that you don't like who do things that you really disagree with and say things you disagree with have God in them. They are also made in the image and likeness of God. They may be misguided or misdirected. They may not be using their gifts for the right way, but they have that inherent goodness in them. They just don't necessarily activate it. We are co-creators with God, meaning through our thoughts, our words, and our actions, we create our experiences, our reality. Now, the circumstances in our lives may not change, but our reaction to those, our response to those circumstances is how we create our own reality. Through prayer and meditation, we align our hearts and our minds with the God mind. We align ourselves with God. And the fifth and most important principle that you need to know, if you don't know anything else, is you don't need any of those things. You don't need to memorize them, you don't need to know them, because they just are. That's the way it is. All you need to know is, if you live the truth that you know, if you walk your talk, you will make a difference. You will make a difference. People will know you without you ever having to open your mouth. They'll know who you are and whose you are. So many times people ask when they come for the first time, what is unity? And there are other people who say, well, I've been coming to unity for a long time. I want to hear more, messages that are higher consciousness. But if we do that, we lose the people who are coming for the first time and trying to determine if this is the right place for them. So today, my lesson is carpe diem. Carpe diem. So what is carpe diem? We hear that all the time. It's a cliche. Carpe diem quam minimum credula postero is Latin, and it's translated, pluck today, trusting as little as possible in the future. It's about the enjoyment of the pleasures of the moment without concern for the future. Dale Carnegie, in his book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, says, live in day-tight compartments. Live in day-tight, and keep your focus on the moment, the present. It's the most, carpe diem, did you know, is the most searched for phrase on the internet. My granddaughter told me to stop saying internet. She's 16, she's 18. She says it's the web, but it's the internet. But anyway, it ties directly to the daily word when we talk about rise. When I was a little girl and it was time to get out of bed, my father would say, okay, rise and shine. Did anybody ever tell you that? Rise and shine, right? And my father and mother grew up on family farms, so they would say, make hay while the sun is still shining. Now, I grew up in Kansas City, Kansas, in the city, right? We didn't make hay. So a lot of times, as I was growing up, I didn't know what that meant. What do you mean, make hay while the sun is still shining? But it means rise up for the day. Greet the day. Don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about tomorrow. Focus on the present moment. Pluck the day. Horace, in the Odes 1, back in the Greek times, he wrote this carpe diem. Carpe diem. Because they were living on the land and they would have to get the fruit of the day when it was fresh. So it means pluck the day. And I say pluck the best from the day. Pluck the best from the moment, because we can only live in the present moment. So I have a little song that I like to sing, and I'm sure some of you know that song. Most of us learned it in Sunday school. And it's a psalm, and psalm means song from the Old Testament. The 118th chapter, the 24th verse. If you know it, sing it with me. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. It doesn't say tomorrow is the day. It doesn't say, well, what happened yesterday was better than today. I'm going to get back in the bed and hope that my yesterday returns, that I can have the same thing today that I had yesterday. It says, seize the day, carpe diem, seize the day, pluck the best from the present moment. In the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter, the 34th verse, Jesus is speaking to the disciples about how to seize the day. Now, he didn't use the phrase carpe diem. He said, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And the Apostle Paul, who once was Saul, who had done a lot of mean things against the Christians, and had an epiphany when Jesus shed his light, and Paul saw the light, and he changed the way he was going, the direction he was going, and he stopped persecuting the Christians, and he joined the bandwagon and seized the day for spreading the gospel of Jesus. The teachings of Jesus. That's what unity is about, the teachings of Jesus Christ. Paul said to the church in Philippi, I'm not perfect. And I say that a lot because people think that because I'm standing here, Duke's standing here, there must be an element of perfection. Well, there might be an element of divinity in me, but there is certainly not total perfection. The same things that I talk to you about, I'm reading my own mail. So Paul is saying, I'm reading my own mail here, folks. I'm not perfect. But forgetting what is behind me and focusing what is in front of me, this present moment, I move forward. I press on to reach the goal that is in my higher consciousness. That's what we do. That's what we should be about. Not comparing ourselves with yesterday or tomorrow, but living in the present moment. Now, when we think about this present moment, let's look at Dr. King. Let's look at how did he live? How did he seize the day? He put everything on the line for humanity's sake. Not just black people, for all people. He put everything on the line for humanity's sake. And he didn't say he was perfect. Like Paul, forgetting what is behind me, I press forward. And Dr. King, just like Jerome sang about the question, Dr. King had a question, an important question for each and every one of us if we want to seize the day. He said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? How are you serving? How are you rising up to be the love, to be the light, to be the peace, to be the joy? Are you feeding the hungry? Are you housing the houseless? What are you doing to be a beneficial presence? Dr. King's life ended in 1968, but the legacy lives on. So if we want to follow in the footsteps of greatness, to create a world that works for all, we need to contemplate that question. What are you doing for others? Tomorrow should be a day on, not a day off. Maybe you could make some phone calls to someone you know who's shut in because of the weather or COVID. Send a text or an email. You could volunteer at a food kitchen. You could contact Reverend Randy Fickey and his congregation at Unity Southeast and say, what can I do? You can pick up a bag when you leave here and hand it to someone on the street who needs it. And don't worry about what they're going to do with it or whether they appreciate it or not. You do your part. You do your part. And if each of us does our part, we will create the beloved community. We will create a world that works for all. Now, you may remember Amanda Gorman, but what you don't know about this young lady who read this poem that she wrote at the inauguration last January was that she's a Unity member of Unity of Sacramento. My good friend, Reverend Kevin Ross, is senior minister there, and her grandmother, Bertha Gorman, brought her, her sister, her father, and her mother to Unity. So it's no wonder this poem reads like someone with an attitude of service. May this be the day we come together. Mourning, we come to mend. Withered, we come to weather. Though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we weren't aware, we're now awake, and our hearts, once altogether beaten, now all together beat. Our hearts, once all together beaten, now all together beat. What does that say? If all of us together seize the day, there's no telling what we can accomplish to change the world, to make it a world that works for all. To make it a world that works for all. Kevin told me that the day before the inauguration, she called him and asked him to pray with her that her words would be received in the way that they were intended, and I think they were. I want to repeat today's affirmation. I rise in consciousness to help create a world that works for all. Would you say that with me? With feeling and with honesty and integrity. I rise in consciousness to help create a world that works for all. Seize the day. Every day, like Pooh said, should be our favorite day. Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. Finish every day and be done with it. You did what you could do. Forget any missteps, like Paul said, because we're going to make those. We're human. Remember, tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and peacefully. Today is too precious to waste worrying about yesterday and concerned about what might happen tomorrow. Do not worry about tomorrow, Jesus said. Tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Someone else said, yesterday is history. I think it was Joan Rivers. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So tomorrow, when we honor Dr. King, there's a program that Unity World Headquarters has, and you'll have to go either email me if you can't find it, Sandra at unitytemple.com, and I'll send you the events page, Eventbrite. But it is at Unity Village, Unity World Headquarters, online from 3 to 4:30 p.m., and it's going to be a dynamic program. Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith of the Agape International Center in California, Reverend Sunshine Day, Reverend and Miss Esther Nicholson, who has spoken for us before, musician, talented artist. So at 33, Dr. King was pressing the case for civil rights with President Kennedy. At 34, he galvanized the nation with his "I Have a Dream" speech. And I gave out some little cards with "Dream" on them. If you didn't get one, see me after the service. At 25, he won the Nobel Prize. At 35, he won the Nobel Prize for peace. And at 39, he was assassinated. But that didn't end it. His legacy of hope lives forever. His life parallels that of Paul and Jesus and many others. Oprah said, every day brings a chance for you to draw your breath, kick off your shoes, and dance. That means seize the day. Seize the day. So I invite you to think about, how can I make the most of this present moment? What can I do to serve the greater good? How can I be the peace, be the joy, be the love that I want to see in the world to create a world that works for all? When you do that, when you figure that out, when you can answer that question, you'll probably be the richest person in the world, because wealth isn't measured by how much money you have or what you own, but consciousness. Consciousness. This new day is too precious, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on yesterday's. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So go out and seize the day. Now Shantae will lead us in a time of meditation.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Let us all take a moment to get comfortable in our seats. We can start by taking 3 deep cleansing breaths to get more into this space and into this time. Remembering that there is nowhere you have to go at this time, nothing you have to do, but just be in this moment. Carpe diem, seize the day. This entails getting still and taking action. Getting still to listen to what is truly trying to express through you. And then simply take action by not putting off time for the things you're most passionate about. Take the time to start that new project. Go for that new job position. Make more time for your family. Go back to school and get that next level training. Or make time for yourself. Take a retreat. Enjoy self-care. As we go into meditation, just listen to Spirit and see what arises for you. And we can contemplate this as we go into the silence. And as we slowly and gently bring our awareness back into this space, I invite you to take with you the thought of however you carpe diem, do it to the fullest and make the most of your gifts while you have them. And so it is.
I'm having technical difficulties, so please bear with me. There's some songs you want to sing and you want to make sure that you get it right. This is one I'd like to do the best I could on. Hold that consciousness for me, please. This is the moment, this is the day, when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play. It's here and now today. This is the moment, this is the time when the momentum and the moment are in right. Give me this moment, this precious chance. I'll gather up my past and make some sense at last. This is the moment when all I've done, all of the dreaming, scheming and screaming become one. This is the day. See it sparkle and shine when all I've lived for becomes mine. For all these years I faced the world alone, and now the time has come to prove to them I've made it on my own. This is the moment, my final test. Destiny beckoned, I never reckoned second best. I won't look down, I must not fall. This is the moment, the sweetest moment of them all. This is the moment, damn all the odds. This day or never, I'll live forever with my God. When I look back, I will recall moment for moment. This was the moment, the greatest moment of them all. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Shantae. Thanks to all of you and our wonderful staff who are behind the scenes, making sure that those who are on live stream, those who are here, have the benefit of a beautiful service and the ambiance of this great sanctuary. That brings me to a question. What is yours to do? This is the moment. Seize the day. So I invite you to consider that and consider keeping this service going, this beautiful temple going, taking your offering in your hands. Those of you who are here in the sanctuary, we no longer pass an offering basket, but right outside in the lobby in the narthex, you can drop off whatever your gift is, knowing that your gift goes to do the will and the work of the higher calling of this church, of our Creator, of this family, and our community. So let's affirm, if you know the offering blessing, let's affirm this together as we take our offering in our hands. And those of you who are at home, take your offering in your hands and then put your finger on the donate button. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. And for these gifts and the givers, we are truly grateful. And so it is. Amen. I was thinking about how do we seize the day? And I thought about Stephen Etienne Grillet, who said, I will pass this way but once. Therefore, any good that I can do, any kindness I can show, let me do it now. Let me not defer it nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. This is the day. This is the moment. Seize the day. Go Chiefs. And so let us now close our service with the prayer for protection and the peace song. You can stand if you'd like. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joy.